One of the many assumptions that we need to re-examine is this idea of what actually gives the boss the right to ask a subordinate to do something. Our experience of asking people this question is that there generally are two core answers. The first is the most obvious, and that is that the boss is the person with the rank, which already suggests a bit of a problem, because if you think that you've only got the right to tell somebody to do something because you have the rank, it means that they're going to do what you require them to do fundamentally because they have to, not because they want to. The second major reason that people offer for the boss having the right to tell them to do things is basically that they've bought the employee's labor. Really, that there was a transaction, and that based on the transaction, the boss has got the right to demand that the subordinate does what's required of him. This view that there's fundamentally a transaction that happens between the boss and subordinate is deeply problematic in terms of the question of intent. Because what you're saying is that the relationship is fundamentally based on a negotiation. Now, we argued before that surpluses happen based on the degree to which the individual goes the extra mile or is unconditional in pursuit of the organization's objectives. Let's understand how the negotiation affects that intent. Let's examine how a sale happens. I come into the market with my money. The person that I want to buy a commodity from comes into the market with his commodity. We meet and we negotiate. At the end of the negotiation, we come to an agreement, and then the transaction is concluded, at which point I give him my money and he gives me the commodity that I'm trying to purchase from him. Any negotiation is principally concerned with two parties who are in the interaction in order to get as much as they can for giving as little as possible. If we asked ourselves what the effect of that would be on the organization, then clearly that would be catastrophic over time. If all of the members of our baking enterprise, Sally, Vusi, and Krishna, were to be in the organization to get as much as they can for giving as little as possible, the first thing that's going to happen is that they're not going to get a surplus. Then they'll start eating each other's slices of the cake, and then to keep the enterprise sustainable, they'll incrementally retrench bakers. In a sense, this is how we constitute corporate life today. Organizations seem to stagger from crisis to crisis, principally because we're populating the organization with people who are fundamentally self-interested. That sense of self-interest we foster by viewing the subordinate and the relationship with the subordinate as purely a trade. And any trade is concerned with somebody trying to get as much as they can for giving as little as possible. If our examination of leadership is going to be of any use to us at all, we therefore have to revisit our fundamental understanding of what the relationship between boss and subordinate is about. This is not a trading relationship. This is actually a relationship of power. We can't adequately understand what makes this relationship succeed if we've misunderstood the essence of the relationship. Our first axiom therefore concludes that what is at issue between employer and employee is not the price of a commodity called labor, it is the legitimacy of a relationship of power.